Again, a reminder, if you have a deal or a dud of the month, please email our Vice President, Stephen, and let him know, because we want to have more and more and more of those that we can share. And again, another thank you, especially to Greg, because it's one thing to get up here and say, hey, look, here's what I did that didn't work. Not everybody wants to do that. But Greg did it 2 months in a row now. And I hope I'll listen to 12 deals in a row, but I hope we don't have to have Greg do 12 in a row. So we want to see some more of those. Please do let us know about them. All right, our featured speaker tonight is Miss Sandra Edmond. And if my memory serves me correctly, I believe she was born in New Jersey. Sandra, you can correct me on any of these details if I get them wrong. And she is a graduate of UCF. She was a former newscaster, and I believe it was about 2004 that she started getting into real estate. She has been a past president of CFRI. She is a lifetime member of CFRI, and she is a wealth of knowledge and information, and going to be talking to us tonight about learning to pivot for deals in a super hot housing market. Please give a warm welcome to Miss Sandra Edmond. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, you're bigger.
Hi, I thought there was going to be a break or something before me, but hello, everybody. Everybody knows who I am. I'm Sandra. Spent a couple of years up here making the presentation. I used to be past president of CFRI, also a full-time real estate investor. It is so good to be meeting in person, isn't it, you guys? So this is like my first CFRI meeting in person. How many people, this is like your first in-person CFRI meeting as well, right? This is only the second one. Yes, yes. So we're absolutely happy to be here. How many people in here are full-time real estate investors? Raise your hand. Yes, the majority. And how many in here are real estate agents, real estate brokers? Okay, all right. So I'd say maybe like 30, 40%. And some are both. How many are both agents and investors? Okay, really good. All right. So I've got much of my presentation, or what I was going to talk about, actually on here on my phone. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm reading what's on my phone here. So CFRI wanted me to do a little talk on what's going on in the market. And that's one of the things I actually did want to speak about, because most investors that I'm speaking to and real estate agents are like, this market is crazy. Would you guys agree? Yeah. Super hot. Anybody looking to buy and having a hard time finding anything to buy? Yes, I was actually, well, first let me back up, because I'm supposed to tell you a little bit more about myself. And you heard earlier, I was born in New Jersey originally, and also grew up here in Florida. Got my degree from the University of Central Florida. I've been doing real estate since 2004. 2004, I started buying properties at the tax deed sale. So a lot of people know me as Queen of Tax Deeds. That's what I do. I also do all types of real estate as well. So I also, in a previous life, used to be a local news reporter and anchor as well. Then after that, I started trying out real estate, because I didn't believe that you could make as much money as people were saying that you could make. So I was like, oh, I'll go ahead and try it. They say you can make money off a piece of paper, which was wholesaling. So I was like, there's no way that a piece of paper can get you thousands of dollars. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. So I just went up and found some houses that were boarded up, found their owners by going to the property appraiser's office. That's basically driving for dollars. I looked them up to find out which ones were delinquent in taxes or had other issues going on. And I went, and I was so broke at the time, because I was like in between jobs. The place I was working at down in West Palm Beach didn't renew my contract. So now I'm like, I got to find another TV job or find something else to do. So I was getting offers from outside of the state to work as a news reporter, but I didn't want to leave Florida. So I turned those down, and I said, well, let me try some real estate and see if that happens to work. So I went to go knock on doors, because I did not want to wait to mail them and ask if they want to sell their property. So I went to go knock on their door, because when I worked at the local TV station, they'd have me go knock on people's doors, for all sorts of situations. So I had no problem knocking on people's doors. And so some of these people were like, no, we're not looking to sell it, crazy girl, kind of go away. But I left them anyway with a contract. And I said, here's a contract. You have a couple of days. There's a deadline on it. We have to put it to Florida. I think I used what is that speaker back in the day? Had the tapes. Who had the tapes? Carlton Sheets, yes. I used a Carlton Sheets contract. Those of you that have not been in real estate very long probably don't even know who Carlton Sheets was. But I'm sure if you look it up on YouTube, I just printed out a Carlton Sheets contract. And I remember when I went to go wholesale it, and another investor wanted to wholesale it, he was like, where did you get this contract? Because it said at the bottom, copyright Carlton Sheets. And he was like, this is so embarrassing. You should use a different contract. I'll give you a contract to use. You don't have to use the guru from TV's contract. So anyway, I left them a contract and said, you have a couple of days to decide if you want to or not. I'll leave it. I already filled it out. I'll just go ahead and leave it with you. So they're like, okay. And so a couple of them called me and they were like, actually, we thought about it and we do want to sell. If I'd never left them the contract, that first no I got, it would have ended there. So they absolutely wanted to sell. And so that's how I first got started in real estate, was wholesaling those deals just like that. And of course, there were issues along the way. You heard some of the duds up there. I had a big dud, which was once the investor said that they wanted to purchase my property, I was like, okay, cool, great. So I didn't bother trying to call them or do anything for 30 days because he told me closing would be in 30 days, which is not what you should do. You should probably decide which title company is going to do the transaction, phone the title company to make sure that they made their deposit so that closing can happen. Otherwise, closing will not happen if they probably don't do a deposit. So on day 30, I called the title company. What time is closing today? And they're like, closing on what? And they're like, it didn't fund. I'm like, what do you mean it didn't fund? It was a cash deal. They're like, yeah, it didn't end up funding. I was like, oh my God. He was like, they couldn't find a buyer. I was like, they couldn't find a buyer. They tried to wholesale my wholesale. So I learned the hard way. That was a dud in the beginning. And do not let other people wholesale your wholesale unless they've got cash, out there. Have them put some money out on the table. And I did not do that. I also did not get a title company that I can trust, or at least contact the title company to find out what was going on with this deal. So that's how I got started anyway. Loved real estate, have been doing it since then. Love to wholesale. And of course I do properties dealing with the tax deed sale as well. So I bring that up because in this market right now, it is hard to find anything. I had cold callers calling for 3 months. Actually, one cold caller calling for 3 months. And I ended up hiring another one the last 2 weeks, just trying to get some deals and really couldn't find anything good. Anybody else using cold callers or had cold callers? How's it working? You're going out of state, using cold callers, calling out of state? It's tough. You're getting a couple though? Okay. How many states are you doing?
Right now, only 3.
Huh?
3.
3? 3 states. How many callers?
4.
4 cold callers in 3 states. And it's hard. 4. Anybody else doing cold calling or using cold callers? Receiving cold calls? Right? Receiving cold calls. We all get the cold calls. I was looking up before I came here, Orlando Regional Realtors market stats. They do the market pulse. And I just wanted to share just a couple of the numbers with you here. 60% less inventory between May of this year and May of last year. So these are numbers from May of last year, 2020, to May of this year, 2021. The inventory in May of 2020 was 7,260 properties on the MLS or listed for sale. This year, 2,822. So from 7,000 to 2,000. Single family homes, there were 5,207 on the market. May of this year, 1,983. That's 62% less than there was before. Listings are up 11%. Closings are up 82%. Days on market, of course, that's the number of days it takes to sell a property, is down from 48 days to 36 days. And I think the median price now in Orlando is, what is it, 300? What is the median price? Is it 350 or 380 or three something? I don't know. It just keeps going up. It's really hard to keep track. So there's a quote that I like. The only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary. By Vidal Sassoon. The only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary. So in the market that we're having right now, with everything being super hot, inventory's low, it's hard to find properties, you really have to do a little bit of work. A lot of work, actually, to find deals. So one of the things I can suggest or talk about is sharpening our tools as real estate investors. You know, what are the things that we can learn about or know about to be able to find more deals? So one of those tools, CFRI is a great place to help you sharpen those tools. CFRI provides education. There are classes going on all the time, especially now there are classes you can do online. You don't even have to put on any underwear. You can just sit at home. There are people sitting at home right now, right? Sharpen your tools and just learn from home. Take notes and learn, you know, what to do and, you know, different niches in real estate that you're interested in. Speak to people, like speak to everybody that you know. And I'm going to tell you a story about me speaking to people. Talk to everybody that you know. Just say, listen, I'm just going to make a few phone calls every day. One of my friends gave me that idea, who's a real estate agent. She's like, just call a few people every day and just talk to them, just remind them about what you do. You can buy, you can sell, because in addition to being a full-time real estate investor, I also have a real estate license, which I got in 2013. And I'm also a licensed real estate broker. So I could have told you, like, as of a month ago, I probably have listed less than the number of fingers I have on my hands since 2013 when I became a real estate agent. I use my license primarily for my investing. I'm not one that goes out and lists properties, but hey, that's a tool in my tool belt. So one of my past buyers, who's also a friend, I reached out to, and she was looking to buy a piece of property. And I was like, oh, really? She goes, oh yeah, I got a loan. I was like, oh man. You know, as an investor, you're like, oh man, I don't want to work with, as a real estate agent or as a buyer, you know, looking for properties, but she's a really good friend and I want to help her out. And she went out when I was buying and selling a whole bunch of properties, she was buying some of them. So I was like, okay, let me help you. So I started taking her out because she had a property for sale and she's looking to move. So I started taking her out to look for properties so that she could move into because she was about to sell her property. Do you know that many of the properties we turned up at, oh, sorry, it just went pending. Oh, sorry, it just got a cash offer. Like several properties that she kept turning out at. And I was speaking to, on my way over here, somebody in real estate who was complaining to me about what's going on in the market. And I'm like, well, what's the problem? She was like, well, you know, there's low inventory. I was like, yeah, everybody's talking about that. Well, she was saying that many people are seeing that the zip codes of 32808 and 32818 are getting a lot of offers to buy properties from hedge fund companies who are outside the country, outside the market, who are just buying these properties in huge amounts. And their proof of fund numbers are in the millions. When you ask them if they have proof of funds, they're in the millions. So they're in here competing with us investors and purchasing the properties for cash, just like we buy them for cash, except for they have more cash, right? And they're also competing with regular people who are just trying to get their first house, or someone trying to upgrade their house. Maybe they're selling one house and trying to move into another. They also are getting cashed out because most sellers want to accept cash offers. So they're preferring to sell to these hedge fund companies. So one of the questions that people are asking is that, what is that going to do to our community and our markets when it's all being sold and priced out from the little guys and people who are trying to buy a house, perhaps, that can't buy anything right now? So I was like, well, I don't know. He said, well, something, is anybody else buying in Pine Hills and noticing this? I heard one person say yes. Anybody else? A lot of large companies coming in and buying the inventory and not putting it out on the market, controlling the market. So that's a way to control the prices as well, is if you lock up the inventory, you don't do anything with it as well. So that was one of the things. So anyway, just thought I'd bring it up to see if anybody else has come across some of that too. So anyway, when I mentioned speak to everyone, here was this woman that was trying to buy a piece of property, who's a friend of mine, who also I'd purchased properties and sold them to her in the past, and she couldn't find anything. So in the end, she just decided to move in with her daughter. She sold her house, moved out, now can't find a place to move into. Which apparently that happens to some people too, is that, they sell one, you better have something to move into because the market's so hot that if you're buying with a loan, it's very, very hard. So consumers are seeing it and investors are seeing it like us, how hard it is in this market to purchase or find something. So like I said, I was here having a conversation with her, and then later she calls me and she tells me, oh, I've got a few pieces of property that I need to sell too that were investment. I was like, really? Well, what are they? And then she started going through and she had like at least 7 properties. And I was like, okay, all right, that's good. However, and don't tell me some of you turn your noses up at this, what am I gonna say? What type of properties were these? Huh? Not condos. You'll know. Huh? Land. Vacant land. 7 pieces of vacant land. And many of these pieces of land I had sold her. So it's like dawned on me, wow, actually, I should contact some of the other people I'd sold property to, since this is such a great market right now, to see if they want to sell. Because I had a choice, I could either wholesale it, or since I'm also a real estate agent, I can turn around and list the properties. So I was like, I don't feel like wholesaling all these properties, and she's a good friend, I'll just go ahead and list them for her. Right away, at least 2 of them got more than full offer prices, like over asking price on land. And you people never believe me when I was saying there's money in vacant land, right? Isn't there money in vacant land? So then I continued speaking to her and, chatting. And what did she tell me? Oh, I have some other people that I know that also have land they need to sell. It's like, really? Where are these lots and who are they? And then she started naming and I was like, okay, that one sounds familiar. Duh, I should have called her too. So these are people that some of them I knew, some of them I didn't know that I should have been in touch with, and I didn't stay in touch. So going back through old deals, you never know who you know, because you could easily, yes, I have a real estate license and I listed them, but I could have easily wholesaled them. One of the properties, and I can't say too much about it yet, but it actually is selling for over the list price. So I could have easily, as an investor, do a contract with her and then turn around and wholesale that deal. And that profit could have been mine as well. So land is one of those great ways and one of those things in this market right now, because guess what? They're not making any more of it. No, and then builders are doing what with it? Putting houses. Investors are holding on to it, as, to, in the future, speculate and make money on them in the future. So there are so many land deals going on right now, as opposed to last year, a few months ago. You guys would not believe it. Because as I started sending these contracts to the title company, they were telling me too, they're like, oh my God, that's all we're getting these days is so many land deals. And so the title is so easy. And guess what? I don't have to go out there and check on the house, right? No tenants, no toilets, no problems. Don't really need an inspection per se. And did I mention to you as well, this woman, this friend of mine that handed me these lots, she was telling me, oh, and I have some phone numbers and letters from people that have been contacting me. Like, what? Okay, just send it over to me. Just send it over to me. So here she is, she's got potential buyers too on these pieces of property. Now, how many people would have loved to wholesale deals like that just by talking to people in your Rolodex and people that you might know and not being snooty about vacant land? Because people are like, oh, I don't want to do land. Oh, it's just lots. Because I get texts all day about, oh, we want to sell you, we want to buy your property, we want to buy your property, we want to buy your property. Just people looking up, my house and wanting to purchase property. So I respond to some of these people and I'm like, I've actually got a list of properties I want to send you. Just send me your email address. And some of you are probably here doing text campaigns too. And I said, yeah, just send me your email address. I'll send you a list of properties. None of them have sent me an email address. None of them that have me on their text campaigns have sent me email addresses. A couple of them responded, oh, what are the properties? I said, there are like 23 of them. You want me to list them all in a text? Just send me your email address and I'll send you the deals. So they're not even on the market yet. And they're not even responding with an email address. Maybe they think I'm going to spam them or something, or I'm the text police. Who knows? But didn't even respond. So I think those are one of the ways. I think I've got like 5 or 6 different ways to go through with you guys on what we're talking about here tonight. So hold on, I lost my place here. Okay, yeah, so land, I've got like 6 different ways I want to go through on how to deal with the inventory, the low inventory, and some suggestions on things that you can do. So land is one of those, and I got a little ahead of myself on here, but we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about land. So land, you got to be careful because you've got to do your own due diligence on there. Oh, look at that. One person just responded literally while I'm up here. Is this somebody in here? Is this a joke? Send me your 23 properties with a smile. Who is that? Who's that? Somebody messing with me in here? Huh? Jenny, did you send that to me? You said you came through Google Voice. It didn't come through my other number. Okay. She said, send me your 23 properties. I'll send you. I've got text me your email address. See, she's smart. Yeah, you see, go through your Rolodex. She's coming through me here. But the others have yet to respond to me because she just texted me through a different number here. So anyway, do your due diligence. And one of the things you want to do is make sure that the property is buildable, because that's how you're going to be able to get more money from the property, is making sure that it is buildable, that someone can actually build a piece of property on there. So anyway, let's kind of go through some of the other ways here. Thank you. Okay, all right. Some people are actually listening on Zoom here and texting me right now. Another way to find deals. You see that? How to put deals together. If you're talking to people like the CFRI group here. Okay, so anyway, off market driving for dollars is still a really good way. driving around looking for properties that are distressed. So we're going to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different ways. And the fifth one, actually, I'm going to break it into several different items. So one way is pretty easy, getting in your car, driving around through the neighborhoods, looking for properties that are distressed, and then contacting these owners. Now, the more distress that they have, the better the deal might be. Why is that a good way? Because they're off market and you don't have other investors. It's not on anybody else's list. It's on your list. So I know there are people that make money selling lists, but when they sell the list, not only have you bought the list, but other people have bought that same list as well. So if you can generate your own list, that is so much better for you. All right, number 2 is land, vacant land. Look for vacant land deals. Contact people who are out of state, people who are delinquent in their taxes, properties that have code enforcement liens, because a lot of times if you come across lots that don't have trees on them, the county is going out there and cutting the grass because the homeowner is not cutting the grass. And they're sending somebody out to clean the property as well. So they are paying for somebody to remove the garbage and cut the grass. And these people ain't cheap, okay? They charge the county $300 to clean and cut the grass, sometimes $500. Okay, so looking for land is a really good one. And of course, if you have a real estate license, and I see some of you people are in here as well, I'm sure you're listing some of the properties, and don't snub land. There are a lot of people that own land that are looking at it right now saying, yeah, the market is pretty hot. Even if they say they don't want to sell, tell them how much the property is worth. Even if you know people that have vacant land, tell them how much it's worth and see if you can wholesale a deal if you're an investor. See if they'll let you wholesale it. So the next item here is a big one, number 5. And I'm actually working on a couple deals that came out of this, which is the public records. Checking the public records, basically the courthouse, to see what's going on there. So I'm not just going to be talking about tax deeds. I'm talking about other deals going through the public records. So what types of stuff happens at the courthouse? It's never a good day, first of all, when you got to do something at the court. Usually it's not a good day, never fun, right? So what are some not so fun times at the courthouse that people have to deal with? Evictions, exactly. Landlords aren't happy when they got to do evictions. What else? Probate. Probate. So what is probate? Probate is when someone passes away and their relatives now need to distribute the property or do something with the property. They have to get the court to give them permission to put it in their name, and the court makes sure that the property goes to who it's supposed to go to. So those properties are not on the market, but there are investors who are looking through probate as well. So you just have to be fast or find them before they actually get to that process as well. So that's called probate, when you're looking for properties that someone has passed away and the other person's supposed to inherit it. So on the public records, it shows the estate's name and not the person who's inheriting the property or dealing with the property. So that means they're not getting text messages, text campaigns, and phone calls all day asking them if they want to sell, because maybe they may not have shown up yet on the records or on a list yet. So what else besides that? We did evictions, probate, foreclosures as well. Foreclosures and divorce. And with foreclosures, you can do before the sale, contacting people before the foreclosure sale, or you can buy it at the foreclosure sale. Same way with tax deeds, you can do before the tax deed sale, or you can do it by purchasing the properties at the tax deed sale. Someone back there said, what was it you said? Divorces? Divorce, exactly. Never a fun day at the courthouse. You can get a list. The clerk's office will give you a list if you ask for it of all the divorces that have been filed in the last 30 days. Same thing for probates. Some of the counties, you can look them up on the computer. You don't even have to put on your underwear. You can do it from home. You can do it from home. and sit in your underwear at home and just do it from the courthouse. Some courthouses make it easy and you can look up some information online. Other courthouses, you have to go down there to get it. They don't put it online. How does that sound so far? Which ones would you go for? The ones that are online, right? You do it right from home. How many people think that's pretty cool? That's good. How many people would rather just go down to the courthouse and then look it up? Put on some clothes, drive, maybe pay toll, park. Hello, yep, who just said that? Trey? Yes, exactly. It's less competition if you have to go to the courthouse and they don't put the information online. Right? Remember that quote I said about work? Right? If you could do it where you just concentrate on the places, the courthouses that do not put the information online and you actually have to go there, you have less competition, fewer people actually going for those deals. Absolutely. What else? Bad days at the courthouse. What else can anybody name? Divorce? Yes, somebody mentioned divorce. Yeah. Say that again. Foreclosures, yes, we heard foreclosures already. Code enforcement, yeah, I guess we can say that because they do file the liens. So that's a good one too. Code enforcement, they do file the liens at the courthouse. And sometimes on those liens, they'll list more than one property that they've had to put a lien on. Some of the liens will have like 4 or 5 pages of property, single line. that you can go through. What else? Any other, General lawsuits? Business lawsuits? Okay, business lawsuits are good too. You guys are like, you're up here, you're supposed to be telling us all this stuff. Okay, and then there are also other types of estates as well, probate estates and other types of estates. So there was a property that went to the tax deed sale a few months ago, and I went to go look at it after the sale, and I was like talking to some of the neighbors, and they were telling me the story about the homeowner and what had happened and how it ended up in the auction. And I was like, are you kidding me? This house had been sitting here this whole time. I could have actually bought the house before it even got to the auction if I had contacted either the relatives or the owner of the property. So I told my office manager, I said, listen, let's come up with a certain criteria, and I need you to dig through the courthouse records to see if you can find any properties, any people that fit this criteria that have properties that are not showing up yet in the properties appraiser's office as their address, as their own property. It's someone else in control of the property through any of the courthouse records. It could be business lawsuits, it could be anything. But just look through there to see if you can find any deals going on, well, any potential deals that we can get through properties that someone is about to take control of, but they have not yet, and they do not even have the same name or last name as that person. So within a couple of days, he came back to me and he had 2 properties, 2 people. And I was like, okay, well, he had the phone number. So I was like, okay, let's go ahead and try them. Let's call them and see what's up. So I go into True People Search. You guys know I talk about True People Search all the time, truepeoplesearch.com. Free way to find phone numbers. True, TRUE, peoplesearch.com. Thank you for having me repeat that. TRUEPEOPLE search.com. Just about putting out of business my skip tracing service, by the way, that I pay for, because I find everything on True People Search. And I found out about True People Search snooping around through the public records. An attorney in one of the case files had mentioned, we even checked True People Search and couldn't find the person anywhere. And I thought, what is this True People Search? So I started looking up people and started finding everyone. Maybe 1 out of 20 I might not find on True People Search, but the majority of them, maybe 1 out of 15. Really, really good. Yeah. Anybody use True People Search before? I've been posting about it. Yeah, True People Search. So yeah, so anyway, so we True People searched her and I called her and I said, yeah, and I explained how I found her phone number, who I am. I'm a local investor. I understand this property that you have or about to have. And she said, yes, actually, we were just thinking about it. We need to sell it. And we were just thinking, what are we going to do? We need to either put it up for sale soon. She goes, oh, that would be so helpful. Yes, can you please send me your information? No one else has contacted this woman outside of me because we're just digging through the public records, looking for any potential deals where it's not in the person's name yet who's going to be in control of the property. And so I sent her a contract to purchase as is. And then I also put in there, if you don't want to sell it, I can list it for you too. Either way, I can help you. And she was like, that's fabulous. I'm gonna sit down and talk to my brother. We'll get back to you because we absolutely need to do something about the property. And that's our next deal coming up, is that piece of property. Then there was a second one as well. And I have not gotten to calling the second one, but that's what we're doing now, is just generating a spreadsheet of these properties and contacting these people. And this is just off of what's in public records. And how much does it cost to check out public records? $0. Why is it $0? We've already paid for it. Taxpayer dollars, sunshine laws. So if you're ever down at the courthouse looking up something and they're reluctant to show you or give you more information, it's public records. It's Florida sunshine law. So we are allowed to ask and look at those things. Okay, so earlier he mentioned foreclosures, and I think somebody else mentioned foreclosures too. And I want to mention this because it's some deals that I've been doing lately too, because like I said, doing all the cold calls and sending letters, it's hard to find properties. So I said, it's got to be, the market is crazy, especially like, even if it's a tax deed sale in a big city, the smaller cities, you can still get good deals. But in the larger cities, like Orlando, it's really hard to get anything because the prices are so much higher when you look and see what they've sold for. So how do we benefit from the prices being too high? If the property sells at the auction and there's a huge lump sum over the opening bid, the owner of the property, this is the same thing for the foreclosures as it is with tax deeds, the owner of the property can make a claim on the excess funds. So if the opening bid started at $10,000 and it sold for $100,000, there's $90,000 left over. And in a hot market, that's the best time to do these overage, sometimes they call them surplus deals, where all you got to do is put on your detective hat, True People Search time, find people who have money that they've lost the property at the sale, and some of them are hard to find because they've already moved on, or they just don't believe that this is the case. They think it's a scam. But if you can convince them, you can get a percentage of the money you help them to recoup. So we're working with people where we're charging them 30% of what we're recouping. So if they've got, I got one person that I showed how to do it. They did, I think it was like $120,000 was a property that sold, and they were able to find the person who, anyway, they have a complicated past. It was a really important person in another country. They found that person, and it was like $100,000 in overage that they could claim, and they charged them $30,000. I'm sorry, not 30%, which ended up being like $30,000. For not doing anything. You didn't have to do anything. That one was not True People Search. That one ended up being someone in another country that happened to be there and said, you know what, I can try to find them. Let me try to find this person. And it took 3 months. No, True People Search will not find them in another country, only the US. But someone in another country is a really good lead because it's hard for anybody else to find them either. And a lot of times they'll get their names mixed up. They'll put their last name as their first name and their first name as their last name. So therefore people are looking up the wrong name to try to find, when you should really just turn it around, because some of the foreign names people just don't understand and they're looking up the wrong person. So that's overages. So we went through driving for dollars, wholesaling land if you're not buying it to flip it, and then also listing land, listing properties, public records. Anybody have any questions while I'm talking up here? You're welcome to ask questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
You mentioned finding a property that was going to be in someone else's name before it was transferred. How do you find that?
Gosh.
I mean, you put it out there.
I found it in the public records, going through the public records. I went through Orange County's Clerk of Court. If you go to the Clerk of Court's website, and then you just start going through their databases of all the suits that people are filing. I don't want to tell you the full one because there are other deals in there that we're working on. If I tell this and it's broadcast out here, you all are going to swoop in, but I told you already more than I wanted to, right? Because remember I said, I don't even want to talk about this. I said, I don't know how I'm going to do this without talking about it. But I'm telling you a lot already.
Yeah, just a reminder, everybody, we got about 5 more minutes. So if you do have questions, please do come up to the microphones and use those so that folks online can hear the questions as well. And if you've got some questions, now's the time to ask them.
Hi, Sandra.
Hey there, how are you?
Doing good, Queen. It's actually good to see you. So I focus primarily on pre-foreclosures as well.
Say that a little bit.
I said I focus primarily on pre-foreclosures as well. Talking about surplus funds. Thought there was something in place that actually surplus funds will go to the junior subordinate lien holders first. And then once they get their money, the homeowner has to wait a year to then recoup. Is that accurate?
Did everybody hear what he said? Come a little closer to it and repeat
My bad,
it.
y'all.
Because
How
you
y'all
got a good
doing?
question.
It's doing good, doing good. So my question was about surplus funds. So normally at the auction, right, if anything goes past the first position or the plaintiff, right, that's the foreclosing plaintiff, any surplus funds that go immediately to a subordinate lien holder or second position mortgages or junior lien holders before the homeowner will have right to collect. And if so, is there a year in place to allow junior and subordinate lien holders to collect before the homeowner will then have a shot?
Well, that's absolutely correct. Thank you. Great question. Yes, the lien holders are first in line when there's any surplus funds. So once the lien holders have collected money, then the owner can take what's left over. But there are a lot of properties that go to the auction that there are no lien holders on.
True.
At the tax deed sale primarily, there's properties that go to sale and there's no lien holders. You're saying that there's a waiting period though for the foreclosures?
Yeah, I thought so. I thought I'd seen something, and this is according to Equestria's data, so I'm not sure. But I thought I'd seen something where you have to wait a year if there is subordinate lien holders for foreclosures here in Florida.
Okay, yeah. The ones I'm focusing on are the ones that don't have any other liens on them.
That's fair.
So therefore you wouldn't have to wait. Now, I haven't done them with the foreclosure sale. I primarily do them with the tax deed sale. And there is not a period that you need to wait, but there is a period of time that you can lose out if they don't make a claim on it.
Right.
Because the county who's doing these sales, they get to keep the money if nobody makes a claim on it after a while. So that's why there's like a little ticking clock to try to get to that money.
That's interesting. How long is that time period for tax deeds?
3 years. 3 years. 3 years after the sale.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good to see you again. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Anything online, Peter?
Yes, we do have a question.
All right, great.
It's from Deborah Richards. Hi, I'm a beginning investor. What are your recommendations for those starting out?
Okay, for those starting off, how many people are new, completely new, starting in real estate? Okay, yeah, usually we have a lot of people here. One of the things you want to learn how to do is find out the values of properties. Okay, because I remember when I was new, I didn't always know the value of properties, and that would come back to bite me. So learning how to pull up your comparables, your comps, is a very important skill. As investors, we make money when we sell, not when we buy. I'm sorry, when we buy, not when we sell. Sorry, it's going the wrong way around. We make money when we buy, so we got to buy at the right price. The contract's got to be the right price. If you offer too low, you're not going to get the deal because your comps were way off and you offered too low. You offer too much money, and you get the deal, you can't wholesale the deal. You're going to come here and say, oh yeah, I got a deal, I'm trying to sell, and da-da-da, and people are just going to look at the floor. You'll be at the meeting after the meeting and people are like, oh no, I've got enough already. Okay, so I think one of the most important things is comps, learning how to pull up comparables and just making offers and talking to people. A lot of times people are afraid to get out there and make that first step and do something. Just do it. Even if you're scared, do it scared. It's okay. I think honestly, if after you've talked to like 100 sellers, you'll actually not be shaking in your boots when you talk to sellers. So expect it. So embrace that. If you feel scared, go ahead and do it anyway. That's how you get better at it. When I first got started, one of the things that I was doing in, actually wasn't one of the first, but in 2000, I started in 2004 and 2007, I was knocking on the door for pre-foreclosures. So if you want trial by fire, go knock on the door for pre-foreclosures, okay? That will definitely get you up to speed on talking with sellers and understanding and learning real estate. But comparables, learning the values of properties, and that's very easy. CFRI has classes on that. CFRI has junkers to jewels and all sorts of programs. When I say sharpen your tools as well, CFRI's got classes going on that you can do this as well. You've got a question?
Hi.
Hi.
Nice. I'm new here. Nice to see you though. Anyway, I do have a question for if you have any tips for people who are newer to real estate investing for how they set up the terms of like of an agreement or a contract. So let's say, for example, the market is very, it's very tough right now. Like if you're trying to get into it, but you might have terms of an agreement that you make with someone. Like I know you were slipping contracts on the people's doors, but you might have terms in an agreement that make it more favorable for you, even though it's really hard.
Might have terms in the agreement that make what?
Make it more favorable for you.
Favorable for you.
The investor, yeah. So you have any tips for people when they're like setting up the terms of an agreement?
Yes. So first of all, use a standard contract is easier. And they have like one-page contracts too. If you go to the classes too, people offer one-page contracts. There's a contract called the FAR bar, as is. It's approved by the Florida Realtors and Florida Bar. You can use that one, but that's too long. It's really long. It's like 13, how many pages is FAR, but 13? 12 pages. I use the old one, which is like 5 pages, but if a real estate agent's involved, they might poo-poo that deal for you.
Be kind of like the FAR bar, like
FAR bar, yeah, FAR, Florida Association of Realtors, and then Florida Bar. So it's called the FAR bar. That's a very popular contract. If you want, email me and I'll email you the contract. It's really long, but I would say get to know that one first. Like they have a shorter version, which I use, even though it's out of date. I use the 5-page one from like 2007 or 8. Is it? Hey, it works.
Yep.
And people don't have to read that much. Just say, hey, listen, it's just basically 2 pages of info. The third is a signature page, and these other 2, it's real estate gobbledygook that the attorneys put in there. You know, you can read it. So it's really 2 pages of fill in the blank, and the third is a signature page, and then 2 pages of a whole bunch of stuff. So lay on the couch one day, eat your chips, and kind of just read through the contract, understand and circle what you don't understand, and then maybe start using that. So one of the important parts of the contract is an inspection period. And so the inspection period gives you time to back out of the contract if there's a problem with the property. So, you know, you might have a 5-day inspection period, 3-day inspection period, 7-day inspection period. So a lot of investors use that inspection period to wholesale their deal. So you try to find a buyer. So you're going to find someone that needs to sell their property. You're going to buy it. at a reduced price that makes sense for an investor based on the repairs that it needs. And then you're going to try to find another investor who loves that deal that you've gotten and would pay you to get out of the deal. And you can assign the contract over to them. But you want to look for that investor during the inspection period. Because let's say you have a 10-day inspection period, which is, that's really too long, but let's say you have a 10-day inspection period. If by the 8th or the 9th day, you haven't found anybody, then some investors will use that as their weasel clause to kind of get out of the deal. But in this hot market, deals are being sold without inspection periods or very, very short inspection periods. So inspection period's an important one. And also, sometimes you can make an offer where the person can take financing. Not really going well in this market for financing right now because you don't need to do anything to a piece of property. You can buy something today and do nothing to it. Take your dog in there, let him poop, and then walk back out again. And then tomorrow it's back on the market and you're gonna make a big profit, huh? Right? You don't do anything to it.
Right.
So that's what I would recommend is getting a contract, understanding it, and then using that inspection period, because let's say there's something you missed or you don't know, you can always come to the meeting and say, hey, listen, I got a picture of this. I don't know what this is. And then we're like, oh my God, that's black mold. And it's gonna require this much money to do this, that, or whatever. So I take a lot of pictures when I'm in properties and videos. That way I can ask somebody else if I come across something I don't know or I need to look it up. Try to be in the property in and out really quickly, take pictures. Is that helpful? Is there anything else?
That was actually pretty helpful, especially the contract. I'm more of a buy and hold kind of person. But I
Okay.
like setting expectations first and having a contract. Because sometimes I actually did lose a property that way in that period. So
During what, the inspection period? You lost it?
Yeah, actually, we did the inspection actually for that one. It was a while ago, but the problem was that I think the ultimate problem was after the inspection, the money that was supposed to come through didn't.
The money on your end?
Yeah, from the banker. They were alarmed.
Oh, by what they saw in the inspection?
Yeah, actually, they were alarmed because the realtor was talking to them about the house being vacant. The inspection actually wasn't the worst part, but the realtor kept talking to them and they got to the underwriter, and then the underwriter became concerned, and then basically it didn't work out.
Yeah. You want to be in control of your deal and don't let all that chatter going on. But this was a conventional loan, I guess you were using, right? Because you had an underwriter and everything?
Yeah.
An investor deal, you're more in control of who is talking and knows who.
Yeah, and I also made a mistake. I put down more than 1% in, I call it the hand money from north, but sometimes they call it I don't know what they call it, not escrow, but like the hand money when you promise for the earnest money.
Earnest money deposit?
Yeah, different people, different places call it differently.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was funny.
You gave it to who? The title company or to the seller?
Actually, that property was for an estate sale because someone died. So I actually went to the estate attorney. And good luck, that was just, couldn't get that back.
You gave the attorney the deposit who was representing the estate.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I'm afraid of attorneys, so.
You're afraid of attorneys? Don't be afraid. We have attorneys in here, right? We have good, nice attorneys. Yes. Don't be afraid of attorneys. You just have to find them and talk to them. You need to go to some of the classes that CFRI has and to learn. Yes.
Definitely go to classes. All right, folks, I hate to do this, but we're already 10 after 8. We're gonna have to wrap it up. Let's have a real big round for Sandra Edmond, our guest speaker for tonight. Thank you, Sandra, so much. Pleasure as always. A wonderful job. All right. And again, remember, if you're interested in meeting after the meeting, Robin Daniels knows where it is and is in charge of that. No, Orlando Ale House, if that's something that you're interested in attending. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Please drive safe, be safe, invest well, and we'll see you next month.